Good morning, everybody. Sorry for the little late delay. Adam had to take a phone call. We're just waiting around. Just Adam's world we're living in. We are politically speaking today, Thursday, September 16th, 2021. I'm Ben Dryden, and as always, I'm joined by former Wisconsin Assembly Representative Adam Jarchow and former Wisconsin Senator Patty Shockner. We have a lot to get to today, including YouTube, vaccine mandates. Is it CAFOs or CAFOs, Patty?
CAFO.
CAFO. Rebecca Clayfish, Robin Voss, Mandela Barnes. I think this is now our 9th Politically Speaking with Adam and Patty show episode. In case you missed it, you can find a recording of all of our episodes and of Politically Speaking and all of our other shows on our website at drydenware.com, on our YouTube channel. Well, not all of them on YouTube, apparently. And also on our Facebook page under the videos tab. Politically Speaking with Adam and Patty is presented by Kirkpatrick Law Offices. Matthew Kirkpatrick provides experienced, professional, efficient, and effective representation in criminal defense, collections, and other legal areas. For more information, you can find Kirkpatrick Law Offices on Facebook or simply go to mzklawyer.com, mzklawyer.com. We have so much to get to. So first, let's welcome in our medical experts. You know what? I think that's a panel of non-medical experts. I think that was a typo there. Adam, let's start with you. Good morning. How are you, sir?
Good morning. How's Ben and Patty?
Fantastic. And you?
Awesome. Fantastic.
Yes. It's politically speaking. I love it. It's my anniversary today, my wedding anniversary. So first, I want to say happy anniversary to my wife, Jerusha. Thank you very much. And she asked me this morning, what do you want to do? And I'm like, politically speaking with Adam and Patty, duh. That's what I want to do. Yeah, exactly.
Duh.
Yeah. So we have a lot to get to today. There we go. See, she gets it. Dr. Adam and Dr. Patty. We have a lot to get to, as I mentioned just a minute ago, but I would be remiss not to start with YouTube. So I put up this. It's really just kind of like a promo for today's show. I didn't think we were going to get that much reaction to it, and we certainly did. So I was just curious about your takes on this, on your, not necessarily that, but the YouTube removing our last show for, what was it, medical information or something. But when I appealed it, they wouldn't say what it was, and that was really my only concern, right? If you get pulled over for a cop, and they say, I'm giving you a ticket for a traffic violation, and you say, okay, what? I'm like, not going to tell you. I'm like, well, how do I know not to do it again? Just tell me what it was. That was my only concern. Anyway, Patty, what were your thoughts about that?
Well, first, I have to say, I thoroughly laughed out loud. And I'm like, oh my God, me and Adam and Ben got totally punched in the face and punched down. That's awesome.
I know. I loved it.
And, this is a part of the big conversation that people are having now about private business and what's too big and who can say what and all that there. I mean, this is a prime example. I mean, the three of us, we just like having these conversations and hopefully people engage with our conversations. And I think the whole point of this conversation is that we have two different points of views. Mm-hmm. And I don't claim to be a medical expert. I don't claim to be a political expert. I'm barely getting by in life. But, we just want to be able to have these conversations. So, this is their private company. They can do what they want.
Yeah. Adam, what were your thoughts?
Break up big tech. It's time.
Well, so this happened after the show. Then when we're finished with these, I load them into YouTube. Takes a few hours. So I watched it that night because I always watch the shows at night again with my wife. She gets to see it for the first time, and I get to kind of go through what went well, what didn't. We could improve here, there. So just kind of critiquing the show. And at no point did I see anything, like nothing jumped out and going, oh my goodness, I can't believe that I still don't really know. I went back and I watched it after we got the ban. I sent you guys the text right away, a group text with a screenshot of YouTube saying, nope. And they're like, well, I don't understand what it was. So I went back and watched, and there's a couple of spots that, I don't know, maybe, but not really. And yes, they were Adam. Those are the ones that I kind of picked up on. Just to be clear about that, someone had mentioned that, why don't I just call Adam? Like, well, technically I don't know. Now, I'm 99.9% sure, but since they won't tell us. And that was the other interesting part, that it was still up on Twitter, and Facebook didn't have a problem. At least be kind of consistent over all social media platforms. But again, it's fine. You run a business, and those are your policy violations, or if you have your rules. It would just be nice to know what it was, right?
I think that we should have a BS meter, and that people can click on it if they they're calling us out for, I think we need one.
Yeah, we can do a bell. I'll come up with, how about we have, there we go. Yeah, anytime. Yeah, there we go. But it would be nice if other people would, but I think they would just spam that the whole time. So, you know what? It is what it is. Hopefully you're watching this live or quickly today, because we don't know how long this will be up after today's show. So some of the topics that we had written down next would be mandating vaccines. You both actually had something you wanted to talk about. Patty, we'll have you go first. I think yours was regarding the GOP. I'm sorry. I think you had sent us Delta recently made the vaccine a requirement of employment in Wisconsin. Wisconsin is an at-will state. Why is the GOP so worked up about employers mandating vaccines? Patty, what are your thoughts on that?
Well, I thought it was really interesting. Delta Airlines, they did it a little different. They're like, either you get the vaccine and have proof of your vaccine, or they're going to increase your medical insurance premium by $200 a month. And so when that came out, over 4,000 employees went and got their vaccine. So it's like, well, you have a choice. You can either pay more for your medical insurance or get the vaccine. And people, who work there didn't leave. They chose to get the vaccine. And I'm sure there are people that chose to pay more in their insurance premiums. Sure. So, it's like I have a really hard time understanding folks who, talk about we are the party of responsibility, and then a business comes up with this is what we want to do to have a responsible business, and then say, well, you're going against what I believe in. So it's we're all kind of confused right now. It's interesting, but I thought the whole $200 a month, it's like, so that seems to be what the cost is. $2,400 a year is what the cost is. That it would be impactful, that would make you choose to get the vaccine.
Adam, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, this one's a tough issue because it pits two very interesting and really important competing things against each other, right? That right to earn a living versus the right to have your own body control and your own conscience. And it's making strange bedfellows. I think it's interesting to me to see so many Republicans sort of taking the side against business and against sort of what you might call the Chamber of Commerce line, which is business can make these decisions. And so many Democrats taking the side with employers, sort of against employees, against some of the unions have come out opposed to this. And so it's a pretty interesting situation. I think I have, over the last few months, sort of narrowly come down on the side of the employee, that we should have some exceptions here. At the end of the day, though, I think this is going to shake out, because employers that are mandating this are going to lose employees, and they're going to have to think twice about it. You might remember not too long ago, almost all employers were drug testing. Well, you go look at most of the manufacturing facilities around here, most of the restaurants around here. In the last few years, they've dropped that because they couldn't get employees that could pass the drug test. And they said, well, I'd rather have you, had smoked weed last week and still come to work today than to not have you as an employee. And I think we'll start seeing some of those sort of really dollars and cents decisions made by businesses.
Sure. Patty, what are your thoughts on what Adam just said?
Well, I think when we talk about what employers want and trying to glean the best employees, it's interesting that our workforce, so many of them smoke pot that they couldn't pass drug tests for employment and that. So the easiest answer was to get rid of the test, not let's have a bigger conversation in that, because not passing the drug test just means, okay, we got rid of the test, but if you get hurt at work and you have an illegal substance in your system, you're still going to get in trouble and could possibly lose your job. So that there's interesting. But I think for the whole vaccine thing, you know, business owners have a right to decide how they want to run their business, and opening and closing because of COVID and their staff getting exposed impacts their bottom line. So if they're making those decisions, I get it. But on the flip side, there's a whole lot of people that, whether it's people in education, people in healthcare, there's a lot of people that have a definite disagreement about this, but there's opportunities. There's a new healthcare facility that's opening up in Minnesota that you don't have to have any vaccines. So those people are going to have choices too. They're going to be able to go. You can go to all kinds of places where their vaccines aren't mandated. So I think there's going to be choices on both sides. At the end of the day, what we're seeing is people are really, when it comes to employment, they want to have control of that, and vaccines is part of it.
Yeah. So your original kind of the question that you would ask was, why is the GOP so worked up about employer? Why do you think? Right? Why are they so worked up about it?
Because it's just something to argue about. I really don't think they know why they're worked up about it. It's confusing because, it's the at-will state is just kind of a basic premise. Now you can, you work for somebody and they can get rid of you for any reason or no reason whatsoever. And here's a reason. And now they're, it's infringing on my rights. So it's confusing. But I mean, Adam as a business owner has a far better take on this than me as an employee.
Sure. And Adam, so why is the GOP so quote unquote worked up over this?
Yeah, and I don't know that it's necessarily just the GOP. If you look around, there's a pretty broad group of people who haven't really even been involved in politics, who have significant concerns about this vaccine, and it's particularly young women of sort of childbearing age are particularly concerned. And I think we make a mistake to dismiss those concerns. I think they're real and we should respect those. And yeah, we are an at-will state, but kind of we're not. No states really are totally at will, right? Because there's all kinds of employment laws. There's all kinds of rules about when you can fire people and for what reasons you can fire people. You're constantly worried as an employer about inadvertently, taking some employment action against somebody and you're going to get sued. I mean, every time you fire somebody, I think an employer thinks they're going to get sued under one of the employment laws that tells you how you must treat employees. So, we've already kind of chipped away in a significant manner at what employers can do. So saying, well, you can't require this vaccine for a certain population, or you have to at least have some exceptions for, at least for a religious deal, or if you have your doctor says you shouldn't get the vaccine for whatever reason, it seems to me that is something that's not unreasonable for people as employees to ask for.
Yeah. Adam, I'll go right back. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Patty.
Can I just add one thing?
Please.
So back in the 90s when HIV and hepatitis B was really the big thing, the vaccine for hepatitis B was something that came out and our workplace required it. And as a young mom in my reproductive days, and that I was,
why is that in quotes, by the way?
Woman up, man, woman up. I was one of those who, did not get the hepatitis vaccine right away. And then I poked myself where I was putting in an IV and stabbed myself with someone else's blood. And I knew who this person was. And let's just say they were, they kind of went with the flow. So I was kind of like, oh God, this is dangerous. So I had to go through 6 months of testing and all this here, but our whole family was impacted by this because it was a contagion. Yeah. So I quickly got my vaccine after that when I seen what the impact was. And I did have children after that. So I think, we know more now in the 21st century, but I do empathize with people who worry about that, about the childbearing and having that. But,
That's legit.
the science is there. And it's still, at the end of the day, when it comes to employment, it's a dicey conversation right now.
Yeah. Adam, Biden has announced vaccine mandates. Is this good or bad?
Bad, bad, bad on so many levels. The federal government has no role here, and in particular, no role when it's just the executive. You know my feeling about not involving the legislature, or in this case, the Congress, in these kind of decisions. I just think it's a huge overreach from both a federalism perspective and from an executive branch perspective. And I hope the courts slap him down as soon as it goes into effect.
Patty, Biden vaccine mandate, good or bad?
I can only do it from the perspective of being a military mom. I had two kids that went into the military, and several relatives, nieces and nephews, whatnot, my parents. I mean, they just lined up for shots, and the federal government requires them, for all the time. This is another one. And, we need a strong military. We need them to be healthy. We need them. So I look at it from that perspective, and from our safety's perspective. We need our first lines of defenses in military to be healthy. So I'm okay with it.
So someone, and a whole people are commenting now that anyone having video issues, I know Adam's a little blurry there, but other than that, on our end, everything seems fine. It looks like other people are experiencing something. Not really sure why. We'll have to look at it afterwards. I do know that when the show is finished, obviously it stays on our Facebook page. I don't know, maybe it'd be easier just to watch it then. So I'm assuming the video issues must be some audio quality or lips not matching up or something. We can't see it on our end. Everything seems okay, except for Adam being a little fuzzy. Other than that, so apologize for that. We'll have to figure that out afterwards. So the next thing we have on here is, you already told me this, CAFO or CAFO?
CAFO.
Okay. And you wanted to bring this up because somebody had sent you a message or asked you something. What was that?
Well, when I got cut off last month, Adam had just been talking about the wacko environmentalists and the CAFO thing. So some people got worked up about it. So I wanted to bring back the conversation of water quality and CAFOs. And the question that was brought to me, if in this whole thing of businesses and being responsible for your business. If CAFOs are so good, why is it that, these big CAFOs are not going to the Dakotas? And the answer is because we have a far better water supply system here in Wisconsin with all our rivers and lakes and everything, which means we have more water available for the 20,000+ hogs. And, so then it begs you really to dig deep into that conversation about water quality. And if you live in a village with, 2,000 people, you have a sewer treatment plant to make sure that the water is treated before it expels back into the system. But there's really not a actual requirement for 20,000+ hogs. Now, I was raised on a farm where we had lots of hogs, and they create lots of poo and lots of, that's just the part of life in excreting our waste. So my question is, if we, think about water quality and CAFOs, and we have such strict requirements for human waste, why are we not doing the same thing for animal waste, especially when we have an abundance of water that's not top quality and we want to keep it top quality? We want to keep our water clean for everybody, especially you look at Adam, who has a business right on the river.
Nice.
You don't want poopy water. I'm hoping you don't want poopy water.
Typically.
Maybe. I don't know.
Adam, your view on that?
So the answer is we do. If you are classified as a CAFO, That means you fall under the state regulation and the DNR regulations. And one of the many things you have to do as a CAFO to continue your permit is to submit a nutrient management plan to the Department of Natural Resources. The nutrient management plan is essentially how do we deal with the manure, and the Department of Natural Resources has to approve that plan and approve how that manure is disposed of. So, it's funny to me growing up working on small farms and seeing what happened to the manure on small farms. And even I think today it happens to some extent. And then you go to some CAFOs, and I would urge people that have never been to a CAFO, please go. Most of the farmers that own CAFOs are more than happy to open their facility to you and have a tour. A couple weeks ago, one of the places just south of Clear Lake, a great family farm that qualifies as a CAFO, had town and county board folks there and opened their doors, showed them the farm, showed them exactly what they do. But their nutrient management plan is like this thick. Whereas if you don't qualify as a CAFO, you don't necessarily fall under those same rules and you don't have to submit those plans. So I think a lot of this is overblown. Are there mistakes? Are there farmers that are bad apples? You bet. There was a guy down by Baldwin that was a repeat offender. And should we deal with those people harshly when they are an offender and when they do pollute? Absolutely, 100%. And I think almost all farmers would agree with that. But the idea that we should just sort of shut down this kind of farming because we're scared is crazy to me. And that's where I get the wacko environmentalists. We are not going back to farms with 4 pigs. It's not going to happen. That's not the world we live in. So if we're going to eat pork chops and we're going to eat bacon, we're going to have CAFOs. So unless you hate those things, and I don't know any human that hates bacon, you're not normal if you hate bacon. We're going to have that. And it just is what it is. So suck it up, deal with it. Let's regulate it so we don't wreck the water, but let's stop this nonsense that we're going to not have CAFOs. We're going to have them. It just is what it is.
Yeah, somebody had Shabana. Oh, Shabana, yeah. I think so I don't know if this is accurate as well. I don't know anything about these things. It's not 20,000 hogs. Hogs had to be over a certain number of pounds. It's about 2,600 hogs plus piglets. I don't know much about this stuff. Patty, I just thought I'd put that up.
Well, I think it's funny. We've all had babies, and even babies have poop. So it's like, it's such a stupid argument. I mean, God. And, it's so hard for me to say poop because you know what I really want to say.
Yes. No, and that's probably perfectly fine to say.
I don't know. But, the thing of it is, when it comes to CAFOs and regulation, yes, you have the nutrient plan, and that's very important. But it's not till the damage is done that the impact of the nutrient plan comes into effect. So here, in the farm that Adam was talking about, it was millions and millions of gallons of manure that went into the water table. And the neighbors that live there, they had animal fecal matter in their water. They literally got sick because of it. And this bad actor did it multiple times. And because the fines were so small because of all the deregulation done by the GOP, there was no reason to even worry about fixing the problem because you didn't have to worry about it. It was like a $50,000 fine on a huge CAFO. And there's a big difference between a family farm that has expanded to meet their growth and to meet the needs of their family and in industrial. And from what we're hearing, foreign countries coming over and creating farms here in Wisconsin, in Iowa, and different parts of this country, they don't care about what goes on with our water. They're there to make money, and that's fine. That's the American way. But they just pick up and leave like they're doing in Iowa, picking up and leave and coming to Wisconsin.
So just to put a kind of a bow on this for now, I'm sure we talked about it a little bit last week or last episode. We'll probably have some more discussions about it in the future. For or against, Adam? Are you CAFOs? For. Patty?
I think it's a complex question. I am for agriculture. I am against corporate agriculture that is too big to manage.
Is there any CAFO situation that you'd be for?
Oh yeah, I'm totally for family ones. I'm totally for fall. I mean,
Okay,
you
I
have
see.
if you have 6 kids, 6 adult children, and they're all working on the same family farm, you're not going to make it with 100 cows. You're going to need thousands of acres of land, and you're going to probably need thousands of animals. Not going to need tens of thousands of animals, but you're going to need thousands of them. I
So,
totally support
so is
those.
it like and I'm asking this sincerely, like a total number of animals or pigs or whatever, or a total number of employees? Is there like this number? Okay, that's enough. Would that
Well,
be kind of if it's over this, then no, I'm not for that. Or if it's just corporate, then like how do you define where that line is?
well, have you ever driven through Oklahoma?
No.
And you drive. Oh, well, you got to do it sometime. You drive through Oklahoma, and
Oh,
all of a sudden you smell this smell. And you're driving and you're wondering, I was raised on a farm, what the heck is that smell? And then you come over this ridge, and I can't remember exactly where in Oklahoma it was, and as far as you see is cows, just thousands and thousands and thousands of cows.
hmm,
And there's a meat packing plant there. There's all that there is right in that one area. That the amount of manure that is being processed in that area is more than most of us can imagine. And I think that's what, when people are talking about CAFOs, when you have tens of thousands of animals and it's on a small parcel of land and you don't have access to the land to distribute that manure in an effective and safe way, that's where the problems come.
sure. I don't know. Makes sense, Adam. Right? I don't
No, she's wrong, but we beat this dead horse.
know. Okay. I'm sorry. Why is she wrong?
Because she said if you don't have the land to spread the manure on, it's a problem. Well, guess what? Then your nutrient management plan does not get approved by DNR and you can't have the CAFO. We've already got the rule for what Patty just brought up.
Not if you have rental land and you don't rent the land the next year.
Then your annual permit goes away.
Uh-huh. And the department is so underfunded that they don't get to follow through. That's been going on for over a decade.
Here we go.
Now we get to the nub of it. Tony Evers has not properly funded the DNR. Now I see what you're saying.
Oh,
shit. Bring it
God.
full circle here. There we go.
This was back when you were there.
Hey, speaking of Governor Evers, our next topic you both had actually wanted to discuss. The topic is Rebecca Clayfish. She announced that she was going to be running for governor, obviously as a Republican. Adam, can anyone beat her? From a political standpoint, you always do this, and I love it. You just kind of look at the big picture here, taking out, you're a Republican. It doesn't matter. Can anyone beat her?
In the Republican primary,
Yeah.
you mean?
Yeah.
If there is a primary? I think she is going to be incredibly tough to beat. I think the only chance for somebody to beat her at this point would be is if they got in the race and they were either very wealthy themselves or had some of the big super PAC funders behind them. And that wouldn't be enough on its own, I don't think. And President Trump endorsed that person over Becky Clayfish. I think that person could give her a run. But other than that, which I think is highly unlikely, I think at this point she's the prohibitive front runner. I can't imagine a scenario where she won't win the primary.
Well, there was that Jonathan Wickman. We've had him on our show. He had announced that he's running as a Republican. I don't know, from the financials of it. I know he's got a very, very big online following. Some have called it like this. Well, I don't want to say what they call it, but it's there's a lot of interaction online on his behalf. Do you see him having any weight in this? Any chance at this?
If he gets 5%, I'll be shocked.
That's what I've heard too. Actually, 5 was pretty much the top. Now that could all change. Something could happen. Patty, when you saw Rebecca Clayfish announce, again, it's like the worst kept secret in politics in Wisconsin for almost a year now. So she finally had announced. When you heard that, what were your thoughts?
Well, first, I mean, I totally respect anyone who gets involved in a statewide race because it's hard, and it's. It was expected, and I really agree with Adam on this. I mean, I think she is the front runner, and I think that she will end up being the candidate. That being said, it's like right away it just started to get so ugly. I was just like, whoa, it's just unbelievable.
What was ugly?
Well, it's, even from a Democratic perspective, the first thing that came out was Radical Rebecca. So it's got, you've got the, School of the Libs and Radical Rebecca. And it's, I mean, I don't know her. I don't know that much about her and that, but it just, I know just from my own experience, and I'm sure Adam can attest to this from his own experience, that sometimes people, the political people that come up with all this here stuff, it hurts. It hurts your feelings. You don't want to be known. I'm sure she does not want to be known as Radical Rebecca and that. And it's like, it just, there's just a stigma that goes with that. I think she would rather be known for actually her policies, but you can tell where we're going to be going with the governor's race. It's probably going to be one of the ugliest ones we've seen in a while, hence even uglier than the Patty and Adam race. That's what I'm going to say.
Yeah. Do you think she would want to be known as Radical Rebecca, or would she prefer Barbie?
I think Barbie is okay.
That was from a previous show. Yes.
But I mean, it's just now. I mean, if I have a just barely marketing mind, and I'm already thinking of what these ads are going to look like.
Oh, sure.
You can almost picture it after just kind of being in this here game a couple of times, what the ads are going to look like, and it'll be hurtful, and that's just the way it is. And you got to go home and you got to talk to your spouse and you got to talk to your kids and you got to talk to your parents and your friends. And it makes it really difficult. So
it does.
It's not, running for office is not for the weak at heart. And I respect anyone that steps up for it.
So someone had put Adam is spreading disinformation, and then that I just let it go. I know what you're talking about. And if he was saying, I don't know, probably about the CAFO thing. I guess you're spreading misinformation again. Adam, thanks a lot. I didn't know. If I knew, then I would have asked him about it, but I don't know. Like, I'm not an expert on any of these things. I'm a medical expert, though. Just ask me. Adam, you want to respond to what Patty had just said regarding Rebecca Clayfish? Do you think this is going to get kind of ugly?
Oh, yeah, for sure. It's going to be awesome. They're going to pound each other to a pulp. I mean, when we get 1 year from now, when we're at the end of September of 2022, a month or 40 days out from that election, it's just going to be a bloody brawl because we're a purple state. If Rebecca Clayfish wins, if she beats Tony Evers, it will be by 2 to 3 points, right? Mm-hmm. If Tony Evers beats Rebecca Clayfish, it will be by 2 to 3 points. So it's just going to be a knockdown, drag out, all out, brutal brawl, and it's just going to be fantastic to watch. I can't believe it.
Oh, that's so funny and yet so wrong. I don't know which one it is more of.
And I do want to say one thing about Becky that really irked me, and I don't get very irked about politics because it is what it is. Right. But somebody on the left immediately upon her announcing put out some photographs that were apparently taken when she was a teenager and was in like I don't know what they call them, like it's not Miss America, but like a beauty contest or whatever.
The pageant.
And were mocking her.
Sure.
Yeah, pageant. There you go. And they were mocking her, and it's just like we talk about sexism and racism. And there's nothing more sexist than doing something like that. As a dad of a little girl, if she wanted to be in a pageant in school, whatever, it's not my thing. But if that's what she wanted to do, fine. But should that define her for the rest of her life, 40 years later? Especially somebody like Becky, who I would challenge anybody to find another person in Wisconsin politics who understands policy as well as she does. There's nobody that does their homework like she does. There's nobody that has crisscrossed the state over the last year and gone to event after event after event in every corner of this state. She has worked her tail off. And so to, take a woman that's worked that hard, is that smart, and then paint her with the, oh, look, she wore a swimsuit when she was in high school brush, makes me want to vomit. Other than that kind of vomit-inducing politics, I think the beating each other to a pulp over policy is exactly what we ought to do because we have big policy differences.
Yeah. So there's a line, is what you're saying.
Oh,
There should be. There's not,
there's
but there should be.
But there should be. Patty, do you agree with
yeah.
that? There should
Yeah.
be a line?
Yeah, I mean, I do think it should be based on policy. It should be on forward movement and evolving. The things that we thought about in policy when we were 16, and then 18 when we got to vote, and then 25. It evolves all the time as your life evolves. But the amount of money that's spent on oppositional research to find
Right.
stuff out, I mean, I still laugh that they didn't find the Sturgis pictures. I'm just saying, I still think that's funny.
And my God, did we look for them?
Yeah, yeah.
I know.
You better never run for an office again.
It was a different time.
Before social media, that's probably good. And for cell phones and cameras. All right, let's move on here. We have two things left that we wanted to make sure that we discussed. One was, it's about Robin Voss, but there was an article, I think you've both seen it. I think you even both, shared it onto your personal pages, or I think I saw it on yours, Patty. It was from Politico yesterday, and the headline was, How Wisconsin is Ruled by a Shadow Governor. The subheadline was Robin Voss, so Speaker Voss in Wisconsin, has used his GOP majority to block, thwart, or resist nearly every significant move made by Wisconsin's governor. An excerpt from Daniel Vock, or maybe it's Danielle Vock, I'm not sure. Voss, the longest-serving speaker in Wisconsin history, has a simple approach. Quote, deny Democrats any big policy wins, thus depriving them of any major accomplishments to promote when seeking re-election, which, of course, Evers is. Patty, I'm pretty sure that you had read that as well. What were your thoughts when you read that? Did you agree with the article? By the way, it's on our website at drama.com, just in our Wisconsin links this morning, or just Google it, Politico and then Voss. You'll find it. Patty, what were your thoughts when you read that?
Well, it's so true. And, part of the reason that's true is one of the first things, as soon as elections come around, the first thing they're going to say is, oh, I work across the aisle, blah, 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 blah. No, you don't. No, you don't work across the aisle. And there's a reason for it. And, yes, you can get things done. But to have actual major legislation done in Wisconsin, if you're a Democrat, is nearly impossible. It started with the whole taking away the governor's rights once he won the election because they had a big temper tantrum and started doing that. That was the first step. Then we've got over 150 appointees that haven't been even assigned to their responsibilities yet. I mean, have the courage to do your job as legislators. Bring them up for a vote them up or down, but not everybody should be, they're just like in a job, but they don't have the title that goes with it or the distinction that goes with the title. And it's just a purely power hungry type way to legislate. And it's really sad. I'm not saying that Democrats wouldn't have done the same thing, but we are where we are right now. And this is what we see. I'm a firm believer in, the pendulum swings all the way one way and then goes all the way the other way. So, I mean, a lot of times, there were times that I sat in the Senate when decisions were being made. And truly, I just thought, what if this is the other way around? And you guys created all these rules and then it comes back to bite you. And because karma is always knocking on the door and just waiting to stick it to you. And I feel like this is one of those things that, this is going on right now, but I'm pretty sure in my lifetime that I'm going to see Wisconsin go super, super blue, and everything that Robin Voss has done is going to come back and hurt Wisconsin, because now it's not going to be a come together, working together process. It's like, now we're in charge and we're going to stick it to you like you did to us.
Yeah, and the Republicans in the Senate and in the House. So basically what I'm hearing is in order for anything to get done, you're telling people to vote Rebecca Clayfish, a Republican, for a governor. So now at least we can get something done. Is that what I'm hearing?
No,
Okay.
not at all. I think
Okay.
at the end of the day, our voters do like conflict. So I think they like seeing Governor Evers do what he's doing. And then I think they may pick up a few assembly seats. I think they may pick up a Senate seat, and it'll continue to be dysfunctional as it is right now.
That's politics. Adam, what were your thoughts on that article?
I thought it was awesome. I mean, I just thought that, the the point of having divided government, or three branches of government, I should say, is that there's checks and balances. And I was super excited during the lame duck to get a chance to vote to strip away executive authority. My only regret is that we didn't strip away more executive authority. I think over the last 200 years, we've delegated far, far, far too much authority to the executive. Whether it's Scott Walker, Tony Evers, or Rebecca Clayfish, they should basically go to ribbon cutting ceremonies, and the hard work of governing should be left to legislators. I am not a fan of any governor having the kind of authority that we have ceded to governors over the last 200 years. And frankly, I don't think the founders would be a fan of that. There's a reason that the legislature, the Congress, are Article 1, and the executive is behind it. The executive is simply there to carry out the laws that the legislature makes. So I think Robin and the legislature are doing a really good job of being that check. I think it's the right balance. I think, to Patty's point, there could have been more bipartisanship, but I'm going to take a shot at Tony Evers here, and it's the same shot that Robin Vos took. This is a direct quote from the article, and I think it's spot on. Quote, "Our governor," he said, as he folded his hands in front of him, "has no passion and no policy chops on the vast majority of issues. So it's very hard to have an intellectual conversation and get into a topic to say, how do we fix that problem, with someone who doesn't necessarily think of that as their job." And you can think of that as a mean quote from Robin about Tony Evers, but I want you to think back to Tommy Thompson. He didn't always have Republican majorities. And think about all that Tommy Thompson got done, because Tommy Thompson walked out of his office, down the hallway, and met with legislators and twisted their arms and negotiated and worked the system to get things done. And Tony Evers doesn't do that. Not only doesn't he do that, but his staff surreptitiously records the meetings with Republican leaders. Yeah. So I think that's a pretty toxic environment to work in. So long as they're working in that toxic environment, I hope Robin and Devin LeMahieu, the Senate Majority Leader, continue to thwart every single wacky liberal idea that Tony Evers has.
Well,
Patty agrees, I guess.
Oh my God, what do I want? A wacky liberal, or those dang radicals? So those radicals are so nice. Oh man. The radical ideas from the radical right. I mean, you can just see we're feeding right into it. Oh my God, I can just see all the pictures as we speak. There's a lot of good policy that people don't even think about that we could work on together, that we could have worked on together, that wasn't done, that really have no impact on everyday life, but have impact on certain, whether it's funerals or funeral homes and 21st century cremation and all this here that needs legislation. And people don't, because they don't know about it, it's not their idea, they don't want to have any legislation on it. And then when the person who brings it up to be, voted on isn't of the right party, it doesn't go anywhere. But then miraculously, when they're gone, oh my gosh, it's a law because it was their great idea. And you just want to, WTF, Jesus.
But actually, it was something that Adam did bring up. Do you believe, we'll stick with Wisconsin, and I'm not even talking about Evers, just Wisconsin, our governor, do you believe he or she, that position still has too much authority?
Well, I think, in my opinion, um, especially after, starting in 2010, the radical right didn't have the balls to take the power away from Walker.
You know what? Here's the thing. No kidding, Adam. I
Now
kind
we're
of agree with her on that
Patty,
one.
thanks.
I kind of
Now
agree
we're
with her on that
banned.
one. Yeah.
And that, so they didn't do it when they had it would have been, it would have been more impactful. The fact that they did it after they lost shows how spiteful the radical right is.
Adam, no kidding. I really think that this should have been done sooner. Plus, it was just bad optics. But you were obviously down there during some of this time. When were you in the assembly? What years?
I don't know.
Oh,
Till Patty beat me.
Perfect. So you're part of this. Do you think that we waited too long, or they waited too long, and they should have done this sooner?
Yeah. I mean, they did do some. So Act 21 was one of the very first laws that was signed by Governor Walker, and that reined in agency authority, which at the time was Governor Walker's agencies. And it's still the act that today, for example, in the Palm decision on the stay-at-home order, was kind of the basis of the Palm decision. So it's not right to say that Republicans didn't do anything to reel in authority. But I would agree. I mean, if I could have done 10 bills in the legislature, that would have been my top 10 bills. Every single one of them would have been to strip Governor Walker of power and his successor governors of power, for sure.
Yeah, that's tough to do, though, when I mean, I can.
Well, he'd have vetoed them, right? I mean, this is politics ain't beanbags. So Governor Walker's going to veto bills that strip Governor Walker of power. But when Governor Walker loses and then knows that they're not going to strip him of power, I guess I could sign those now, right?
Brilliant. Politics, man. It's like I'm watching The West Wing when I talk to you two. This is just great. Yeah. All right, we're already up way past our time already, so I just want to get this last thing here. Adam, you had a question. You had actually just texted to me and asked if Mandela Barnes is now considered, or would we consider her or him the favorite after Elizabeth Warren announced her endorsement of him. Obviously, our lieutenant governor running for the Senate. Which I think is Johnson's seat, right? And I still haven't heard if he's running or not. What do you think? Is he the front runner now for the Democrats in that race, Patty?
I kind of think he is. I think him and Godlewski probably have the most traction right now. But after that recent poll, it really, Mandela's got the momentum. August is a long time from now. A lot can happen.
Yeah.
People are going to drop out. A lot is going to change between now and the primary season. But I'm excited to see that we have a good slate of candidates. They're all good and interesting. So
which one's your favorite? Who would you vote for at the vote if it was today?
You know what? I keep that one to myself. Because they're all knocking on my door for an endorsement, and I'm not endorsing anyone yet.
Well, let me ask you this, since you won't endorse, but which one of them do you suspect would be the strongest general election candidate of the four, kind of the big names?
I think Mandela is probably number one. He's got a fantastic name. I mean, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's like 10% of the votes right there.
I would agree. And I think, when you look at the basic census information, it's like this part of the state will probably, go primarily red, but the blue numbers are going to go up. I think it's going to be interesting. And I think he, the fact that he's not super wealthy probably is going to go into his favor. That's just my opinion on that.
Adam, the same question that you asked her, ask yourself and answer that. That's a good question.
I'm not sure I disagree with her. I do think in Wisconsin, because we're such a purple state, there's something to be said about female candidates. So I'm not sure that Sarah, I can't ever say her last name correctly, the state treasurer, Godlewski, I think. I think she might might be maybe as strong in a general as Mandela, but I don't know. I think that they both have some weaknesses that'll be picked apart by whoever their Republican opponent is.
Mm.
But I think those are the top two. I think Lassery, who's the rich kid Bucks owner and, kind of grew up in New York, I don't think he would play very well in Wisconsin. I think it'd be a mistake to nominate him. I think they've tried Tom Nelson before for things like Congress, and he just doesn't seem to play well outside of his little area. So I think Mandela and Godlewski are probably their two strongest.
Sure. Here, we have a question up here from Chad. You guys started talking about Biden's federal mandate, the feed cut out, and we missed a lot. Yep, sorry about that. Are local businesses going to start getting the 14K fines? If so, how soon would it come into effect? Either of you want to take that?
I
That 14, right? Wasn't that one of the things of over 100 employees? That was part of that mandate that you have to tell them they have to get the vaccine. And this is like a week old, so maybe it's been updated, but I thought it was over 100 employees. Your business has to require a mandate, or you have to test them weekly, or so. I think that's what it was. That could be misinformation. Medical misinformation, folks. I'm just saying right now. But I think that's what it was. And you could get fined your business, I think, could get fined. I don't think it's the individual, but the business could get fined $14,000 for not. Please correct me if I'm wrong, Chad, but that's what I recall from like a week ago. I think that's what he was referring to. Do either of you know about that?
Well, to answer his question directly, so that was just an announcement that Biden made that his Department of Labor would be drafting and implementing an emergency rule. They have not done that yet. So until we actually see the rule language, we won't know how to exactly answer his question. But stay tuned for the rule to come out. And then once the rule is actually promulgated, there's been a lot of groups that have already said that there will be litigation. So I think that this has a long way to go before it actually becomes effective, if it ever becomes effective. So the courts might put a hold on it immediately.
Yeah, and it could take a while for that, and by then we may not even be needing to have this conversation, which would be great if we didn't have to worry about that conversation. That's all I had written down for us to go over from some of the things that you guys have said that you wanted to talk about. Is there anything else that we didn't get a chance to talk about that you wanted to? Patty, we'll start with you.
For anyone who had time yesterday just to watch the testimony of the gymnasts, the Olympic gymnasts yesterday.
Yeah.
Oh man, that was painful. And just big shout out to them for stepping forward and talking about their experiences and what happened and the lack of people in power of taking their statements serious. It was just painful. I mean, coming from an athletic family and, that you have all this trust in people with your children, and to listen to that, that was just bad. And
wasn't it Simone? I could be mistaken, but I think it was Simone Biles who had said that after she reported the FBI or something, it was like over a year, almost a year and a half, until she even had a follow-up. I think that was her that was talking about it. And it's, how do you wait that freaking long?
Yeah.
It's kind of a big deal.
Yeah, just awful. Yeah. And, and then it does make you go back to the Olympics and, all that was going on. And then, when she's like, I gotta stay focused on my mental health. I mean, that kid's been through a lot, and, we need to be nicer people. That there is just awful.
That there. Adam, how about you?
I just want to give a shout out to Patty. As a dad of 2 8-year-olds, I'm in awe of parents that have raised good kids, and she's got some good kids. And so I just, man, it's hard. It is the hardest job I've ever had. And I'd never know what the right answer is. And I just wish that when I have a question in my law practice, I open the book and I look at the book and read what the statute says, and then I have an answer.
Right.
There is no book. It is so hard. So kudos to you, Patty, for raising good kids.
Well, we had one line of information at our house. We didn't know what we were doing when we were raising our kids, and if it's an issue, then tell your shrink and we'll fix it after that.
There you go. Perfect. Love it. You put that on a t-shirt.
But thank you, Adam. And you're right. Parenting is hard. It's really hard, and it's all you want to do is raise good humans. That's all
Yeah.
you want to do. And
Right.
that they're kind and thoughtful and empathetic and can stand up for themselves. And, we're just trying to do the best we can. So thank you. And, you guys are young parents, and good luck.
Well, not that young parent. I have 5 children. So I have 2 children, my biological children, and my wife has 3 that she knows of. You know what? I don't think it works that way. Never mind. So we have 5 together, and then I also have 2 grandchildren. My oldest daughter, Grace, she's down in Dunn County, so I have 2 grandkids. Yeah, and it's weird being a grandpa because I still haven't really figured out the parenting thing, and now I got to figure out how to be a grandpa, and it's just really bizarre. So I agree. You just kind of make it up as you go, but the biggest thing is you want to keep them safe, and so much of me wants to just shelter them from everything, from social media, from life, from bullies. But in a weird way, that's part of growing up. Now, it shouldn't have to be, but that is part of life, and that's just tough to see when they go through that, because we've all been through it too. That's just tough to see. You don't ever want your children to get hurt or go through those experiences, and I think some are okay. Sometimes it's okay to have a bully every once in a while, and because then we learn how to fix it, we learn how to address it, and how do we respond to it. But there's obviously a line where things you don't cross, right? And that's what we don't want to see. We don't want anyone, touching our children. There's lines you don't cross when it comes to kids, but I don't know. That's tough. Where is that line? I think it's different for everyone, but it's very tough. So I think that's one the 3 of us all have in common, and we all care about kids, man. That's where it's at.
Agreed.
Awesome.
Agreed.
Thank you so much. I have a shout out here. So first on October 1st, so today's my wedding anniversary. Yay. And then in 2 weeks on October 1st, Dryden Wire will be celebrating our 6th anniversary. We went live. We launched October 1st, 2015. So that was awesome. And also my niece, speaking of kids, my niece Tia. So we put up that post yesterday on YouTube, about YouTube, it was just a promo for this show today. And she sent me a text, and I haven't talked to her in quite a while. And she said, I saw your post about YouTube, the YouTube thing, and I was reading the comments the whole time, and I was thinking, if he's anything like my father, which would be my brother, and yes, I am, when it comes to social media, he's laughing so hard right now. As in me, which of course it was, because it just amazes me how these people would say this when there is a screen to hide behind. But she's talking about the comments, because some of them, weren't super great. But if they had a chance to sit and say it in person, they wouldn't. I think you being the bigger person and not commenting back, aggravating them even more. I applaud you for not giving in and becoming a Karen, which I thought was funny. She's a Dryden, just saying. So just don't forget that there are a lot more people who support you and Dryden Wire than those who are against it. So I'm already getting emotional. That was awesome for her to take the time to send that.
No, that's awesome.
Thanks, guys.
Politically speaking with Adam, Patty, and Karen from now on.
There you
You know what?
That's
We're going to
awesome.
tie that in somehow for our next show, which will be in a month from now. It's always the third Thursday. So, thanks, guys. We'll see you in a month,
guys, have a good weekend. Stay safe. Enjoy the warm weather. Sounds like Sunday's going to be gorge.
Gorge. Gorge is too long a word. I'm not going to waste that much time. For Adam Jarkow and Patty Schochner, I'm Ben Dryden, and you've been watching Politically Speaking with Adam and Patty, presented by Kirkpatrick Law Offices. Attorney Matthew Kirkpatrick provides experienced, professional, efficient, and effective representation in criminal defense, collections, and other legal areas. For more information, you can find Kirkpatrick Law Offices on Facebook or simply go to mzklawyer.com. mzklawyer.com. We'll be back for our next episode, which will be our 10th episode next month. So until then, stay safe, stay positive, and as always, have a blessed day.